Rome's greatest philosopher didn't die in battle. He was ordered to kill himself by his own student. For years, Seneca shaped the mind of a boy who would become emperor. He taught him virtue, discipline, how to rule with wisdom instead of rage. But something went wrong, because that same student would one day look him in the eye and give him a choice. Open your veins, or we'll do it for you. This isn't just another Roman story. This is about what happens when you give someone everything they need to destroy you. When loyalty becomes a liability. When the person you built becomes the person who buries you. Most history books call this a tragedy. But if you look closer, it was inevitable. Most people know Nero as the emperor who burned Rome. What they don't know is that he wasn't supposed to be emperor at all. Seneca was already famous when they met. A Stoic philosopher, advisor to emperors, a man who turned words into weapons and ideas into empires. He'd survived exile, political purges, the madness of Caligula. He knew how power worked. And when Agrippina, Nero's mother, came to him with a proposition, Seneca saw an opportunity. She wanted him to tutor her son, mold him, turn this young, awkward boy into something Rome could respect. Seneca agreed, not because he believed in Nero, but because he believed in himself. He thought he could control what he was creating. That's the mistake. He thought wisdom could tame ambition, that philosophy could chain power. It never does. At first, it worked. Nero listened. He studied. He memorized Seneca's teachings on virtue, on self-control, on the dangers of absolute power. And when Nero became emperor at just 17 years old, Seneca stood beside him, not as a teacher anymore, as the hand behind the throne. For 5 years, Rome flourished. Historians call it the Quinquennium Neronis, Nero's golden 5 years. Taxes dropped. The Senate regained influence. Justice was fair. But here's what history hides. It wasn't Nero. It was Seneca. Seneca wrote Nero's speeches, made his decisions, controlled his image. Nero was the face. Seneca was the brain. And Nero knew it. Imagine being emperor of the most powerful empire on earth, and everyone knows you're just reading someone else's lines. That every decision, every law, every moment of respect you receive isn't really yours. It eats at you. Nero started to resent the praise Seneca received, the whispers in the Senate. Seneca is the real emperor. The way his own mother manipulated him through Seneca's counsel. Power doesn't like sharing space. And when a student realizes he no longer needs the teacher becomes a threat. This is where human nature takes over. Because what happened next wasn't about philosophy or politics. It was about ego. Nero started making his own decisions. Small ones at first. He'd ignore Seneca's advice on minor matters. Test the boundaries. Then came the affair with Poppaea. Seneca advised against it. Nero married her anyway. Then came the arts. Nero wanted to perform, to sing, to race chariots in public. Seneca called it beneath an emperor. Nero did it anyway. And each time Nero chose his own path, he felt more free, more powerful, more like an actual emperor. But here's the thing most people miss. Seneca saw it happening. He knew the student was slipping away, and he had a choice. Walk away, or hold on tighter. He chose wrong. Seneca tried to resign multiple times. Publicly offered to give back his wealth, his estates, everything Nero had given him. He wanted out. But Nero refused. Not because he needed Seneca. Because letting him leave would look like weakness. Like admitting he couldn't rule alone. So Seneca stayed, trapped by the very power he'd helped create. And that's when the betrayal started to take shape. Not in one moment, but slowly, quietly, over years. Nero killed his mother, Agrippina. Seneca probably knew it was coming. Maybe even advised on how to cover it up. Because by this point, Seneca wasn't the moral voice anymore. He was complicit. That's the trap of proximity to power. You think you're guiding it. Really, it's corrupting you. Nero killed his wife, Octavia, replaced her with Poppaea. Seneca stayed silent. Rome started to see the cracks. The golden age was over. Nero wasn't the philosopher king Seneca promised. He was becoming something else. But here's what most people don't realize. Seneca was getting richer the entire time. Massively wealthy. Some say he was one of the richest men in the empire. He preached Stoicism, detachment from material things, simple living. Meanwhile, he owned estates, vineyards, hundreds of slaves. The public started to notice. And so did Nero. The question everyone was asking. If Seneca truly believed in virtue, why didn't he leave? Why stay beside a tyrant? The answer is the same reason most people stay in toxic situations. He thought he could still fix it. that he was the only thing standing between Nero and total chaos. Pride. Not wisdom. Pride. And pride is what gets you killed in Rome. In 65 AD, a group of senators hatched a plot to assassinate Nero. They called it the Pisonian conspiracy. Seneca probably wasn't involved, but he knew about it, and he didn't stop it. That was enough. When the conspiracy was discovered, Nero's paranoia exploded. He saw traitors everywhere, executed dozens of senators, forced suicides, burned names off monuments. And then he came for Seneca, not because Seneca was guilty, because Seneca was a symbol of the old Rome, of philosophy over power, of everything Nero had outgrown. The Roman guards arrived at Seneca's villa with a message from the emperor. They didn't need to say it out loud. Seneca knew. His student had made his choice. Seneca didn't beg, didn't plead for his life. According to the historian Tacitus, he asked for time to revise his will. Nero denied it. So Seneca did what Stoics do. He accepted his fate. He opened his veins. The traditional Roman suicide. Noble. Controlled. His wife tried to die with him. Nero's guard stopped her. He wanted her to live with it. But here's the part that breaks the narrative. Seneca was old. His blood flowed too slowly. He was taking too long to die. So he drank poison. Hemlock. Like Socrates. It didn't work fast enough either. Finally, they placed him in a hot bath to speed up the bleeding. And there, in a pool of his own blood, Rome's greatest philosopher died. Not in glory. Not in peace. In a bathtub. Watching his own life drain away because his student decided he was no longer useful. Nero didn't attend the funeral, didn't make a speech, didn't honor the man who made him emperor. He moved on, because that's what power does. It consumes the people who feed it, then forgets they ever existed. So why does this matter? Because this story isn't ancient history. It's a blueprint. It plays out in every company, every government, every relationship where one person holds power over another. Mentors get replaced. Teachers get outgrown. The people who build you up become the people you need to remove to feel fully in control. Nero didn't kill Seneca because he hated him. He killed him because he no longer needed him. And maybe that's the real tragedy. Not that Seneca died, but that he stayed long enough to become the villain in someone else's story. He could have walked away, retired to philosophy, let Nero rise or fall on his own. But he didn't, because he thought he was indispensable. That Rome needed him. That Nero couldn't survive without him. History isn't about empires. It's about human nature. And human nature hasn't changed. Power will always outgrow loyalty. Students will always surpass teachers. And the people you trust to never betray you are often just waiting for the right moment. They waited years to betray him, not because they planned it, but because betrayal is what happens when proximity to power becomes a liability instead of an advantage. If you understand this, you already see the world differently than most people. This isn't just history. It's a pattern. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Most people watch these stories for entertainment. A few understand what they're really watching. If you're one of those people, you belong here.